In today's video, I'm going to show you how I replaced a rusty old Crossmember on my new TD5 Defender.
Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Thank you so much for joining us again. I'm back in the workshop. It has been a busy week. I've been up at the repair shop, but I'm back. A big thank you to Incogni for sponsoring this video, but you'll hear more about them later on. Let's get the van unpacked and then we can start work on the Defender.
Okay, now I've got the van all unloaded. Let's get straight into it. We're not going to mess around because I've got a lot to get on with. This is my new TD5 Defender. It's 2000 TD5 engine, long bed, so it's 110 pickup. It's this green colour at the moment, which I'm not a massive fan of. I may well be doing something about that later on, but that's not for today's video. We need to get going on replacing this rear cross member because it is completely rotten. First things first, get it up on some axle stands so I can actually get underneath it. And then obviously remove the rear wheels just to gain access to what on earth I'm working with. The exhaust is the first thing that I need to get out the way. This Defender has obviously had some money spent on it in the past because the exhaust looks relatively new and there's little signs here and there that people have looked after it. It's, you know, it's been well cared for. Saying that, there is not a straight panel on the entire vehicle. Every single panel has got a scrape or a dent or a bend in it somewhere. But mechanically, it looks okay. So the exhaust is the first thing that I need to get out the way because it runs obviously from the front to the back and goes up and over and is just well in the way to get the fuel tank removed, which is going to be the next job. I was completely surprised that those 3 bolts actually came undone. Usually exhaust bolts I end up having to chop off, but bingo, there we go. That is the rear section of the exhaust removed and all of the nuts and bolts came off perfectly. Before the rear crossmember comes off, the wiring loom has to come out because it comes out the side of the crossmember and around and through it. I didn't want to cut the loom and cut the original loom because there's nothing wrong with it. So I started by removing these cover plates from inside the bed. That gave me access to the back of all the lamps, the indicators, the rear brakes, the lights on the back of the vehicle. They're all sockets that you can just sort of pull apart. But it's a bit of a faff of undoing them all and unrouting all of the wires. There's rubber grommets where they pass through the body. There's a fair bit involved with removing all of the wiring. Once you end up with it all out, it's quite a big old snake, but it's the original loom and it's in good enough condition that I don't want to start cutting it. Now I am jumping ahead ever so slightly here because as you can see, I've cut the whole left-hand side of the crossmember off already, but more importantly, I've already removed the fuel tank and the tow bar. I had to get the tow bar out of the way first because that was in the way of getting the fuel tank out. With all of the fuel tank and the exhaust removed, I was able to start chopping. I did brace between the chassis legs. That steel bar, that bit of box section that I've welded across between the 2 chassis legs was so important. Took a measurement first to make sure they were in the correct place and welded that on before I cut the rear crossmember off to make sure that they don't spring out of alignment and move. Meaning when I slide this new crossmember in, it should all line up perfectly. And then I was left with the 2 really stubborn support braces which weld on to the top of the rear crossmember and I could not get to them at all, which is why I chopped the left hand side of the rear crossmember off to try and gain access. I had to go back to Screwfix and buy myself this new reciprocating saw which did a brilliant job of sliding in between the body and the crossmember. But once I'd cut through those, bingo, rear crossmember and the back half of the chassis removed. And look at the condition. You can see why this needed replacing. I would highly recommend getting one of those saws or using something like that. And look at the amount of dirt and mud and bits of flaky rust and leaves inside the chassis legs. That all needs to be removed because that's just going to make this box section rust from the inside out, which is never a good thing. Oh, I've left something in the van. Hang on, I'll be back in a sec.
Whilst I'm up at the van, it's a good time for me to tell you about today's sponsor, Incogni. A lot of you have kindly sent so many messages following last week's Q&A video saying that I'm looking a bit tired and a bit worn out. And you know what, I am. I have got a lot going on. One of those things that's not helping is the amount of spam emails and phone calls I've been receiving. It's all very overwhelming and there is a chance that they bought my data along with yours from an online data broker. It is possible to ask these online data brokers to remove your data. if you can find them and keep up with the amount of requests that you'll need to do. However, trying to personally unsubscribe and remove my data from these mailing lists would take forever. However, that is something that today's video sponsor, Incogni, can help us with. Honestly, I think it's genius. Incogni reaches out to data brokers on your behalf, requests that they remove your personal data and handles any of their objections, and the whole process is automated. They also keep your data off the market by doing repeated removals, taking it down if it shows up again. Which is why the yearly subscription, which, spoiler alert, we have a huge discount for, is so beneficial. Incogni are offering you guys a huge discount, 60%. So not only are you helping to support the channel, you're helping your peace of mind, and you're saving money. Use code Chinea at the link below and get 60% off your annual plan. All right, I've got it. Let's get back to the Defender.
This is my brand new galvanized rear cross member with the body mount plate at the top with the line of bolts to bolt the body onto it. It looks beautiful. It looks really nice. All of the brackets are on there. The brackets to hold the fuel tank strap and the exhaust hanger. Where it fits onto the chassis is actually stepped. It's sort of joggled. So this will fit over the outside of the original chassis legs. So I'm cutting long first, taking a lot of measurements and sneaking up on it because the original parts of the chassis are going to end up slotting into this about 50 mil or so. So a lot of time with a tape measure, a lot of thinking before I'm reaching for the angle grinder and chopping off the original chassis leg, because if I cut too much off, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. Gently sneaking up on it, cutting further back as far as I need, measuring every time. A lot of time was spent measuring. I've made that look a lot quicker than it was. Something very exciting has happened. I have been lent a camera by Canon. My previous camera that I've been using was a Sony, and it is honestly on its last legs. So this is the first little go of using the new Canon. It's a very new experience for me. I've got a lot of learning to do, and they've only lent it to me for a week or so to play with. So I'm still going to use my old camera just in case all of these settings are wrong, but this clip and a few of the others are on the new one. It's incredible so far, and it feels a lot more stable. I know a lot of you get a bit a bit of a fair share of motion sickness with me moving around, but does this make a difference? It's so dark in here. I'm amazed how light and clear it looks on the screen anyway. I can't wait to get this all on the computer and have a look. Might as well give you an update. I don't know if you can even hear what I'm saying. I haven't got my microphone on top, it's just the camera. But look, Spike has been busy. Apertures have been cut in the wall. Very soon I'm going to have a wall. Yes, it will have big holes for my old critter windows, but I've got some beautiful old reclaimed critter windows to go in these apertures, one in each hole. But yeah, a lot of work, a lot of progress is happening whilst I'm struggling away with the engine and the Defender. But throw in a new camera to the mix. It would be very interesting to hear if you can tell the difference. Does this look any different to the other rubbish footage on the Sony? Talking of making things look quicker than it was, feeding this original wiring loom back through the new crossmember and out of that little hole took me a long time. There were so many wiring connectors and fittings, and it just was so fat, I could not, for the life of me, get it through the chassis leg and through that tiny little hole. If they'd have made the hole 10 mil bigger, it would have been so much easier. But I guess it's the factory size hole, so that's so be it. But I got there. And the thing is, now that that is through that hole, I don't want to dare take it back through. Having a second pair of hands would be so helpful. But struggling trying to do it on my own, it's possible, clearly. I've managed it, but it was a fight. But you can see here quite clearly how the new rear crossmember with the chassis leg fits over the original chassis legs. It slides straight into place. Everything lined up. The body mount holes lined up on the top. I was so pleased. It did take a bit of on and off because I needed to just trim a little bit more off of the chassis, but that was just me being cautious and just taking my time with it. You'll notice there is a support brace welded on to the rear crossmember to stop things springing around and moving around. Where the new chassis leg welds to the old chassis, I could have just done a weld straight down, but this is quite a structurally important part. So I've decided to make life a little bit more difficult and cut a sort of V-notch out of it just to increase the surface area where I'm welding. So it's not just in one dead straight line. I'm sort of joggling it, stepping it back and stepping it forwards to really try and spread the load of the area that I'm welding. So it's not in one dead straight line, trying to make it stronger. Bearing in mind, I may well be towing things with this later. A lot of cleaning, a lot of grinding, a lot of sanding on the original chassis and the new galvanized chassis because you can't weld over the galvanizing. I mean, you can, but it will be a horrible, messy job. So you need to grind that all back inside and outside, both surfaces, grind it all back to the bare metal, make sure it's really nice and clean. Do the same to the original chassis, get all the rust and underseal and mess and dirt off the inside and the outside, because one bit of dirt and contaminant there will, when you're welding and it gets hot, it will blow up and explode, and it will just make a mess of the weld. Once it was all clean, it got a good spray with the Metalite spray from Worth. It's a weld-through primer, so you can prime inside box sections between any two surfaces of metal that are going to be welded together. It's a layer of protection and primer, prevents it from going rusty in the future. You can weld through it because it's got very high zinc content. It's a brilliant spray, and it's hopefully going to protect all of the inside surfaces, which I won't be able to get to later on. So all of the body bolts are in. The brackets for the body mounts are all done up. That's in place. I'm happy with the alignment there. Everything is sitting where it should be. So it's time to commit with the welder and start welding it in place. Slow and steady is the way here, bit by bit, one side then the other, moving around, not letting it get too hot, moving over to the right-hand chassis leg, cleaning up that area, making sure that's good to go whilst the other side's cooling and burning my back. I am being very, very careful and taking my time because the wiring loom is inside and I don't want to melt it. A little trick is to wrap it in tin foil just to try and keep the heat off of the wiring, because I really don't want to melt all of these wires after spending so long trying to keep them in one piece. If I go and melt them all together with the welder, we'll be in a world of pain. Welding galvanized material is always a bit of a challenge. You never end up with a very neat weld, but the longevity of the rear crossmember should be a lot better being galvanized.
Wow, that was a day, but so nice to be getting some progress done on the Defender. I know not enough, but is it ever enough? I've got a lot more to do, but you'll see that on another video. Unfortunately, I've run out of time, but thank you so much for watching, and I've got to say another big thank you again, firstly to Incogni for sponsoring the video, and don't forget to click on the link below in the description, use code Chinea to get 60% off your annual plan, and stop those annoying emails and phone calls. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next Sunday at 5 PM. Make sure you've subscribed, give us a thumbs up. We'll see you then.